after that lunch break, I hope you all are recharged now. So it's now time to begin today's panel session on the topic Teachers' Professional Development in Mathematics, Design and Implementation. And और इस प्रोग्राम को शुरू करने के लिए हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही सम्मानित व्यक्तित्व मौजूद है जो शिक्षा और गणित के क्षेत्र में एक बड़ा नाम है। तो इट्स माय It's my privilege to introduce and welcome our session and moderator, Professor Ambar Habib with us. So please give a big round of applause for him. He is a professor at Shiv Nadar University, Delhi NCR. Prior to this, he was at the Mathematical Sciences Foundation, New Delhi. He is also taught at St. Stephen's College, University of Delhi, and hold postdoctoral positions at the Harish Chandra Research Institute at Prayagraj. At SNU, he has served as head of department and as a dean of undergraduate studies. He has contributed to national bodies like NCERT and regularly teaches in the workshops and camps organized by the Mathematical Training and Talent Search Program. He has authored or co-authored 4 books on school and undergraduate mathematics. So please give a big round of applause for him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so welcome everyone. We have 4 panelists. Junaki, how much time do we have now? We have, okay, great. We have 4 panelists. I'm told they have agreed to speak for 10 to 12 minutes each, so that there is enough time for discussion about that. Our first panelist is Dr. Satyanarayan Reddy. Satya works in combinatorial matrix theory, group theory, uh, number theory, and he is a faculty member at Shiv Nadar University. Okay. He has 5 students have already completed their PhD under his supervision. Now, there are things that are not written here, but I want to substitute them for what is written here. So Satya has been with SNU since I think 2013, and from the start, he's been one of our faculty who have experimented the most in their teaching. Okay, and so over these dozen years, he has really got a lot of experience in trying different methods of teaching, increasing student participation, different assessment types. He's our most innovative faculty member in those directions. And also, in terms of nurturing students who are facing difficulty, he somehow figures out which student is depressed or is not performing, and gets hold of them and brings them back, to a more fruitful path. So it's my pleasure to introduce Satya to you and to invite him now to make his presentation. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. You called me first, so I think by that time they will still wake up. Still wake up by that time. Okay, so first of all, good afternoon to all of you. I'm very thankful to the organizers for giving this opportunity. I'm very thankful to Amparani introduces me. So today we gathered here to discuss related to professional development in mathematics teaching. So there are various approaches. There's no doubt there are various approaches one can use them to become professionally strong. But I want to tell you one thing today. So I used it, and that is helpful me a lot. That is related to expository articles. How expository articles will helpful in mathematics teaching. So in the morning, just I introduced already morning. Professor Ramanand sir explained various things. In particular, most of the time, it x square plus y square equals z square. So we are all involved in that. So that's why I use that. So, as Sir already mentioned in that speech, in that talk itself,
So in usual teaching, what happens, we'll try to cover what is a 500 people lecture and we'll be little faster. But instead, what we can do is that as morning specifically, either will also follow the same thing. So what is that happens is that when you explain the size per get square, then we'll ask you the examples. Then obviously first example comes 3, 4, 5, right? Then so other examples will be popular. Then after some time they realize that they are defined. Why they are defined? 3, 4, 5 is there, then any multiple of 2 will come. So that's the first thing. So we'll ask that questions. How many are there? And also as point out, once we get to know, then how to find all of them. How to find all of them. That is next question comes. So then it's sufficient to look at only those things. They are not multiples of something. They are called primitive parallel triplets or depend also. So how to find now the question is that how to find the primitive parallel triplets, right? Now you make a table, ask questions to the students. So 3, 4, 5 and other tables come, other parallel triplets come. They have some common properties. Right? One of them is that how we define actual primitive parallel triplet. A comma B comma C such that ABC GCD of ABC is equal to 1 and A square plus B square equal to C square. Right? But later you will realize that when you are doing this table, collecting all the examples, later you notice that not only all the three GCDs one, we need two individual GCDs also one. Right? And as morning sir mentioned, one of them is either other is R. So to R one even all these things, so we slowly realize. So instead of doing things, first to look at all examples, collect as many examples as possible, and make a student themselves will make the statements. Then later you can do how can you prove them one by one. So I'm saying that these are part of this expository. Expository means that everyone will take a single topic also will take expository. My point today is that try to prepare one semester at least one expository. Expository means take a small topic. Instead of regular teaching, how can I teach? How can I ask questions? Okay, I tell you my experience why I entered into this particular thing. I'm interested to work in algebra and number theory. So once luckily I visited the Keith Conrad website. There is a great algebra in Conrad. He has so many expository articles. I suggest that please you also please visit. You will see that so many who are working in algebra, they like that once they visit that website. So which website? Keith Conrad. KEITHCONRAD. KEITHCONRAD. In the group. So actually, for example, in group theory, you will ask a different question. What are all natural numbers for which you can put out the target cycle? Then we define something called crisis number. That means somebody else will define, but he will give an article, like that is an article. Okay. So like that, we will take super simple questions, one question, and for that we will write an article for that. So that is the first thing. At that moment, just reading these articles will do, not implemented, but slowly taking it to that. Later, after some time, I visited B. Sufi, Professor B. Sufi. I said Bangalore. So his articles are excellent. In particular, you know all about resonance. There is resonance book. Their undergraduate journal, undergraduate articles will be published. It is better that you go to resonance article. It is that freely available. Please read the edition for many years for the resonance article. Right? There you can find many articles of this type. Okay. And later, Professor Shailesh Hirari, and I read many of his articles in the resonance institute. I'll give you one example. Still, I remember I used every day. 1996 March paper, resonance paper, that is related to infinity to the primes. Infinity to the primes. By RS approach. That is the question. But while proving that result, in between we need to prove this part that you all know 1 plus 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 4 plus and so on, it diverges. Keep on adding, it will be infinite, not a finite quantity. divergence. I saw a different proof in that article. That is, so he did that he removed this one here and called it as equal to S. S is equal to this quantity. S is equal to this remaining quantity. And he will do some manipulations and finally we prove that S is equal to 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 and so on. That means that is possible only when that is the divergence. Convergent one, if we add something, then it is not equal, right? So how we prove it? There is that again some nice technique will be used. So for example, you take 1 by n. 1 by n can be written as n minus 1 by n minus 1 into n, right? So you will add this 1 by n minus 1 plus 1 by n minus 1, sorry, n into n minus 1, n into n minus 1 like that, n minus 1 times, right? So for example, you take 1 by 3. 1 by 3 is equal to 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6. Agree? Yes. So that is this part. So 1 by 4 is equal to 1 by 20 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by 12, right? Similarly, 1 by 5 is equal to 1 by 20 plus 1 by 24 times. Like that, you can write that. And you replace 1 by 3 by this 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6, 1 by 4 by 1 by 12 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by 12. Then you get again sums. With that, we get that 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1. So that is divergence. Right? Okay. So the reason for telling this thing is that if you read those articles, then you get some ideas for teaching the part. Okay. That is the thing I want to add. So later I read many of his papers and luckily number of brought his bookstore like that. So yeah. So that is and there are some other articles like for example American Mathematical Monthly is one nice place one can visit. And also there are mathematics magazine, college mathematics, resonance, and then there are many journals like undergraduate journals like this. So in particular, these articles are very useful. Mathematics students. So so this is the first initial stages. I use it to record and still continue reading all this. So that is the place I got a motivation to read so that we can teach better. Number two, later, luckily, one point of time, luckily I'm part of the MPTS team. So now I'm teaching regularly there. So there, what happens is that when you're teaching, so in a regular class, there are two teachers will be there. When I'm teaching, other teachers also will be there in the same classroom. So when I'm teaching, they will ask me. So I will ask a question. So we first ask them, do not tell the answer, raise your hand. Know the answer. Because if the student has the answer, what happens, other students will start thinking. Right? So we'll ask them to raise their hand. The other teachers will go and say, what is your answer to me? Okay. So that is not the point here. The point is that when I ask, so there what happens, we are not supposed to teach in regular way. We need to ask several questions. We need to bring the answer from the student. They're asking several questions. When I ask a question, sometimes student is not responding. My colleagues will come to other people. They may come and tell me that okay, they'll ask other questions. So there also I noticed that so so you can ask so many questions for a single answer. That is the point here. That means that generally you sit down and you ask, you think yourself. So single concept you can have several solutions. So for that we need to think. Okay, in particular, what I want to say is that when I'm teaching like this, sometimes I one day I completely prepared and went well. I thought that I'm asking so many questions. Then again, Professor Kumar is there. Technical faculty. He comes and again he will ask one more question. I thought that I exhausted all of them, but still he will ask one. Okay, the point is that so if you think before going to tomorrow's class, instead of regular teaching, try to have lots of simple questions so that at the end, whatever you want to do, that will be covered. So that is the that's okay. So yeah, I'll give an example please. So that I observed that most of you are here from uh, uh, teaching in the school. So for example, you take you take D8, right? Of course. Yeah. If you take D8, D8 is equal to -8, -4, -2, -1, 1, 2, 4, 8. Do you notice what is that I wrote here?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Do you notice what I wrote here? D8. -8, -4, -2, -1, 1, 2, 4, 8. What are those? Divisors of 8, right? Divisors of 8. What is D6? Divisors of 6, right? What is their intersection? Common divisors. What is the maximum of them? That is the greatest common divisor, right? Right? That is the GCD, right? So GCD we introduce in some way, but actually as for 11th and 12th, whenever we need it, you can also introduce this way, right? Only in the limited time only we need to use sets. Afterwards we just take the maximum value. Right? What is the advantage of doing this way? What is the what is the GCD of A comma B? It is DA intersection DB maximum, right? DA divisors of A divisors of B, take their intersection and take the maximum, right? What is the advantage of introducing that way? Why is it GCD of AB is equal to GCD of A minus B? Is it D A is also equal to D minus A? Divisors of A is same as divisors of minus A. So, so GCD of AB same as GCD of A minus B. GCD of minus AB is equal to GCD of AB equal to GCD of A minus B is equal to all of them at one time we can do it, right? Is GCD of any two integers exist? So like that we can ask several questions here. So my point is that you define one thing, one concept to define instead of use some examples, then ask several questions, lots of questions instead of actually. Those questions will help the student project. So that is what my meaning of exposure. So for example, I will tell you one law. So for example, I'm giving one example. I like that I'm correcting things. One example is that zero one matrices. Right? How we can use the zero one matrices in teaching and counting. For example, I give you one here. So you have that x plus y plus z is equal to 7, right? So I want the non-negative integer solutions to this, right? Integers and greater than or equal to 0. How do you find all solutions for this? This problem we can convert it into binary sequences. How do you convert into binary sequences? So, can you give me one answer for this? X plus y plus z equal to 7 and huh? 1 to 4. Okay, 1 to 4 is a so it is 4 to 1 like that. They are placed right. Good, thank you. So now what we can do? I can put 1 here, right, and 0, then 2 ones, 0, right, and 4 ones. Right? I convert the solution into binary sequence. Okay. So how many ones are there? That is equal to 7. Where zeros are coming? Where there is a transition, right? Where there is a transition, I put 0. That means number of solutions to that problem is equal to number of binary strings of length 10. Sorry, length 9, right? With two zeros, right? That is the same. That is again you can count that you can again express in terms of binomial equation. Right? Similarly, mornings are asked one question, common sense. Right? So there are 3 people, right? X plus y plus z is equal to 7, right? So tea, coffee, and buttermilk. How many ways they can order? 7 people went, and how many ways they can order? So for assume that X is for the coffee and Y is for the tea and Z is for the buttermilk, right? So again, one person can offer for coffee, 2 people can offer for tea, and remaining 4 people offer for buttermilk. That is, this problem also contributed to the same problem. Right? All these problems can be solved by using this one. Right? So I end with asking one question to you. That so as Sar asked, square plus y square equal to x square, what are the possible questions you can ask? Now I'm not giving even that much also. Just I'll tell you that 2 power n is given. Can you give me the questions where 2 power n is the answer? I will repeat the question. 2 power n is the answer. What are the questions are there for that? This is the answer. Number of subsets of the given set. That is also 2 power n. Any other? Number of binary strings are there. Right? So, okay, my point is that you ask this. I know I'm preparing that. 2 power n item I'm exposing the article. I'm correcting it. I'm correcting all in one place. Right? So like that. So for my students also, what I do when somebody comes to me, so I request small problem. I have my original problem later, but I request small problem. So they start working and we are hiding the complex. So there is a lot of bonding with me and student. Right? So some students, so whenever student comes, I will, let's say, God given opportunity. Like, a student comes to us means it is a God given opportunity. So try to explain and try to do as much as possible. So I can give more examples, but now we need to proceed further. I will tell you more style. Thank you. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please give a huge round of applause to sir.
Okay, so for the next speaker, I'm going to invite Professor Jyoti Sharma. Professor Jyoti Sharma is Professor in Education and Joint Director at the Cluster Innovation Center, University of Delhi. She has been instrumental in leading numerous national and international projects focused on pedagogy, innovation, curriculum, and assessment. She has spearheaded many projects of national importance, including the initiation at policy level. And as a teacher educator, she is actively involved in non-conventional methods of math teaching and assessment. Okay. I think the presentation is here.
There's a second last.
Math science, J.
How I'm going to slide this?
Ma'am,
No, I have to be here.
I can navigate it for you.
Okay.
I just today I was
slide.
Fine. So good afternoon, everyone. After lunch, definitely it's sleepy time. But anyway, so the only, oh, yeah, I think as teachers we are really loud because we are very habitual speaking to the large group. So the only introduction which means a sense to each one of us is that we all are teachers. And a common denominator here is we all are math teachers. Okay. So if I start my journey as a teacher, so accidentally I entered into education, math being my first love. And for quite some time, I always felt that I left my first love to for my second love, which was education. I realized this love very later in my career. So I was forced to join B.Ed in CI because I started my journey as a teacher from CI. Uh, so initial 4 months when we were supposed to do psychology of education, philosophy of education, sociology of education, uh, it was very depressing. Didn't make any sense to me. Professor Krishan Kumar, who was renowned mathematician, all of us know. So he was my tutor. So he gave us an assignment, which was compulsory assignment, to do a book review. Okay, so I gave submit the book review in 4 lines. So he said, okay, Bob, office, do you know how to do a book review? I said, I've done it. It's just 4 lines. So I said I didn't felt the need to write anything more to this. So because in mathematics, we love to be very precise. Okay. So n represents set of all natural numbers from 1 to infinity. One symbol can represent entire set. So I said 4 lines are more than enough to understand this book and my reflection on the book. But coming to the point, so I started my teaching internship in one of the schools, and I was given grade 11 to teach principle of mathematical induction. And for me, maths is very natural to someone. There is nothing to be taught in mathematics because it's so simple, transparent, flow like water from one statement to another, to another, to another. There is nothing as a maths teacher I can teach to anyone. The only thing is I can in a very articulated way, I can write those steps on the board. Okay. And then everybody can understand. So my child started there when I realized that many of my students are not able to understand what I'm writing on the board. Okay. So the first lesson learned that it is not a linear relation from here to here. There are so many dimensions. Okay, so from here, my journey as a teacher started and my journey as a researcher started. So the first thing as a teacher, I realized that I have to be researcher all the time and not those very high-end researchers who write publications, who write articles and publish and no. As a researcher to my students, because every single day when I plan for my tomorrow's class, I need to plan in a different way. So I need to reflect on my journey, what I've learned, because every day I'm learning as a teacher. And we were just having a discussion in the morning with Sangeeta ji as teachers. We were just sharing our experience. Every year, when I'm teaching the same paper, every time it is more challenging for me. I'm less confident because every time I'm adding to my mistakes. Okay, this was the low point, so I need to improve here. And this is what a teacher as a researcher is. Could you please move to the next slide? So I'll talk about a few points. So for a teacher, one is the disciplinary knowledge. Disciplinary content. So it has to be at intersection of three things. So as a teacher, first of all, I need to be really good in sound knowledge of my subject, so mathematics. So, for example, I've seen we were doing a small experiment again as a researcher in my class, and the first class I asked my MSc students who all are honors mathematics, and many of them are MSc mathematics. So write the definition of a fraction. So 3-4 concepts: fraction ka definition, variable definition, addition definition, and probably not many students are able to write the correct definition even of a fraction, the MSc level students. So the problem starts right from here. So when we are teaching addition, so we say when your addition is adding two quantities. But what is fundamental to addition? That those two units for those two quantities need to be same. So we miss one important point there. And then when students add two different units, they don't realize that conversion is important. When they add two variables, they struggle that they cannot add x and y or x and x square. They struggle because when we add two matrices, so that the dimensions of matrices need to be equal. So the units need to be equal, which is this a very fundamental important point which we missed in grade 1. Okay, and so all these things as a researcher you need to think about. So one is the disciplinary knowledge. So you should have a very clear, transparent, simple knowledge about your subject. Pedagogical content knowledge. It is important because I realized in a hard way Being good at mathematics doesn't mean that I can be a good teacher and I can teach effectively to my students. I learned it. The signature pedagogy. The signature pedagogy is there is general pedagogy, and then when you apply that pedagogical frameworks, pedagogical strategies, and models to your specific disciplines. Move to next. Uh, we as teachers, so there are many terminologies used for teachers. A subject expert, sometimes we are, it is expected. So now there is a term that teachers are mentors, they are not just teachers. In some school, we say teachers are, we have coaches, maths coach, language coach. Teacher is a guide, teacher is a facilitator, teacher is a counselor because parents and students, so everybody expects a teacher. There should be a very good bond with the teacher. But ultimately, there is an overarching term, which is teachers as professionals. Move to next. So, what makes us professional? So, why teaching is a profession? Teaching any professional domain, so it requires specialized knowledge and competencies. So, I think 30 years back, everybody can be a teacher. If you're not doing anything, at least you can be a teacher. But teaching is a very specialized domain. Okay. For my qualifications, your qualifications need to be vetted. So for teachers, you have NCT, which vet your qualifications. There are ethical code of conduct. That's where we are professionals. Okay. It is a service to society. It is a noble profession. And then this is important. It requires upscaling knowledge and skills continuously. So teaching is a 24/7 job. Where you are teaching in the class, or you are even cooking in your kitchen, or you are going to bed, the ideas, the questions, the faces of your students. Sometimes कुछ मायूस होते हैं, sometimes excitement होती है, confusion होती है. So those faces remain in your mind. And this is what a teacher is, and that's why we are professionals. Move to next. So, uh, so how do you upscale your knowledge and skills? Be part of good professional bodies. So, for example, MTA is one organization here in India. There are other organized teacher associations also. These are professional bodies. So here, what we do, we learn and share. We share our work, we share our concerns, we share our challenges, and we learn from our peer group. So there, it's not always reinvent the wheel, which is all a wheel which because there are problems which are already solved. There are challenges which are already worked upon. So we learn from each other and we grow together. So it's important. Let's be part of professional bodies. So there are national bodies, there are regional mathematics associations, and there are international associations also. So you can reach out, and with the virtual world, it is very easy to connect. Okay. Learn from research and development. Be read good articles, good work. So there are for school teachers, I think Right Angle, NCRT also publishes, and then NCTA, National Council of Teacher of Mathematics, which is an international umbrella of maths teachers, one of the finest education resources you can find there. Enrich, this is a virtual group by Cambridge University. You can find plenty of educational school teaching resources there. Uh, when you read them, you'll be very excited that there are so many people like you who are struggling every day and winning every day. So then you will be encouraged to add to this R&D group. Move to next. Uh, so so there are so many ways you do research. So there are very systematic way of doing research. There are professional researchers who do that. So for example, we as teachers, teacher educators, it is mandatory for us to do this kind of research. But at the same time, in classroom, important is action research. I'll focus briefly on action research. Now, this action research is for you. You are the architect of this research. You are doing this research for yourself. Okay. So I quickly move to the next slide. Okay. So now in action research, what do you do? There is a researcher here in your mind. So you go to the classroom as a teacher, but behind that you are a researcher. So there is a persona of researcher in you. You identify the problem. There are so many problems. If you ask a teacher, was your class interesting today? Were there any challenges? And there are plenty and plenty of challenges. Time management, syllabus management, the exam, etc., etc. These are routine, but there are challenges related to students' behavior and other things. So just believe in your power of change. Whatever. The educators, the policy makers, the university teachers, all those people are the third agency. You are the navigator of your class. We as teachers, so any curriculum can come to us. We are the one who open up the curriculum for students. We read out, we give sense to the curriculum, we give meaning to the curriculum, we bring voice. Okay, so it is important that what you do, so you identify, it can be a problem, it can be any challenge, it can be any new idea probably you want to implement in the class. So identify those small issues probably which you would like to research. So action research is something which is by you and for you. Your students are your sample, your classroom is your research field, and then so you work on everyday practical problems rather than theoretical problems defined by the researcher. Move to the next point. And it is, so what you do, it is spiral. So you identify a problem, you design certain interventions, you collect data from your group, you analyze, you improvise. So I give you one very simple example. There is a very interesting work done on how much is the question answer time. So every time we ask question from our students, so I'm teaching, I do ask question. Have you understood? And sometimes I ask question from within what I'm teaching. So what should be the optimum time to be given? So you ask a question and immediately, okay, without looking here and there and say, okay, fine, just fraction of seconds and you reply because you're so impatient. You have to finish the target. Students, you will not be able to learn how much your students have learned. And if you give more time, let students think and reflect and come back to answer, then again you lose the track because they get distracted. So there was a very interesting research and you can try how you communicate in a maths class. So for example, in one of the question paper for pre-board, one school gave a, so there was this question on find the geometrical solution of pair of simultaneous linear equation. Now students know how to solve pair of simultaneous linear equation, but the question was geometrical representation and geometrical solution. So they could not relate it that it could be a graphical solution. And 99% students could not answer that question correctly. So this is again interesting how you communicate mathematics in the class. So can you keep just one period of your entire week where you are not doing any paperwork? You are just talking mathematically with each other. Okay, so with this, be very optimistic, be researcher every time you need to, because this is the way of progress. You know, as a teacher, you are the most closest human contact between student and the classroom ecosystem. So I think we have great power to change. So with this hope, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, everyone. I know we have been diving into some heavy stuff, but I need to see some energy in the room. Can I get a yes if you're still with me? A loud yes. Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to call on Professor Haneet Gandhi. Haneet is Professor of Mathematics Education in the Faculty of Education at University of Delhi. Uh, she engages in the areas of maths education, quantitative methods in educational research, and assessment for learning. Most of her work is concentrated on understanding and promoting stochastic thinking among adults and children. She has many books to her credit, spanning assessment of learning, maths pedagogy, hand-on mathematics. Currently, she is the Dean of Admission, University of Delhi, handling the entire process of admission to all colleges and university. If you're looking for mathematicians who are applying their skills to the real world, then I think we have a prime example over here.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot of data that has been sent to various organizations, and I can take that credit. So, thank you, MTA, for calling me today for this talk. For past 3-4 years, since I'm handling admissions at a very big scale, I thought, I just lost touch of my academics. But last night, when I was making my presentation, I was a bit lost what I have to do. Somehow I grappled to put my thoughts together. So this is mostly coming from my experiences as a teacher educator. जो मैंने कुछ इतने सालों में सीखा और जो जोड़ा है उसी का कुछ एक पेपर भी लिखा था जो थोड़ा बहुत you'll see a lot of text here because I've picked a lot of things from my paper to indicate when I'm about to finish. Yeah.
It is fine.
Can you give me a very nice point? So, so you see, as teacher educators, जो आप लोग भी होंगे, lot of times. So, I'll give you first the genesis of this thing that I'm going to present in the next 10 minutes. Is that when you, while as a being a teacher educator, or you visit a lot of your students' classes and do a lot of classroom observations, and you're supposed to do a classroom observation of a Hindi classroom, of an English classroom also, because you go on a rotational supervision. From there, I realized that, what is it that I have to write on my scholars' diaries? And hence, I realized that this is not pretty much that I should be doing. What I'm writing is not doing any good to them. हिंदी की क्लास में भी वही सजेशंस देके आ रहे हैं जो एक इंग्लिश की कक्षा में भी देके आ रहे हैं वही सजेशन मैथ्स की क्लासरूम में you pick up any lesson plan diaries of the students and I'm sure you will come up with the same answer. They'll be writing a lot of things about what was happening as a discourse in the classroom. बच्चे participate कर रहे थे, सब बहुत खुश थे, activity हो रही थी, बहुत अच्छा माहौल था या नहीं था, या टीचर ने उसकी जवाब नहीं दिया, उसकी बात का जवाब नहीं दिया, so on and so forth. These are the typical things that you will find in their research diaries through the supervisors. But that's the question that I wanted to, that it started coming to my mind, that what is it? Have we ever told our student what was happening into the classroom for a discipline specific knowledge? Yes, we have discussed about the pedagogy, we've discussed about the psychological aspects which the teacher has to be careful about. But what happened with respect to the disciplinary knowledge? Were the children, were they able to get into that mode of thinking of that subject? I mean, how am I going to assess कि हिंदी अच्छी से आ रही कि नहीं आ रही थी? कक्षा अच्छी थी, सब कुछ अच्छा था, लेकिन क्या उन्होंने ढंग से हिंदी प्रोज या हिंदी पोइट्री के बारे में चर्चा हुई कि नहीं हुई? ऐसे ही हिंदी की अगर कोई टीचर एजुकेटर मैथ्स की क्लास में है तो वो कैसे जानेंगी कि मैथ्स अच्छे से हुई कि नहीं हुई, मैथ्स की टॉक अच्छे से हुई कि नहीं हुई, क्या डिस्पोजिशन डेवलप हो रहे थे कि नहीं हो रहे थे? So these are some of the things that, when I started writing what happens into a maths classroom. Incidentally, there was a project that came up in which, in fact, I took up that what happens in a large size classroom, which is the reality of our Indian scenarios. What is the role of a teacher? How is she adjusting herself to a big classroom? 80-90 बच्चे हैं एक क्लासरूम में, और पीछे तक वो टीचर पहुंच भी नहीं पाती क्योंकि जाने की भी जगह नहीं है, बच्चों के बैग पड़े हुए हैं, बस्ते पड़े हुए हैं, कॉलेज बहुत ही छोटा space है, टीचर एंड तक पहुंच नहीं पाते, yet there is some learning that is happening even at the backbench, and there is some learning that is even happening to various these blocks of students that are sitting there. So those are the thoughts that I'm going to present today in this talk. Much of this would be written and I'll read out because I wanted to get the feel of what I had felt while I was doing this work. So that's what my that's what I'm going to talk about, how mathematical dispositions or the beliefs get established in a mathematics classroom by certain knowingly or unknowingly things that we do in the classroom. Next. So primarily it was a discourse analytical framework which we had done on the voices, something similar. We also doing it through the textbooks also. और नई textbooks भी आ रही है NCERT की और पुरानी भी है. उसमें भी what are the conductors, what are the imperatives that you use which set a tone of doing mathematics collectively or through an authorship. So we drew a lot of attention to the usage of phrases that were used into the classroom and how language acts as a regulator in assigning specific roles to whosoever was participating in a mathematical act. Next. I'll skip this because this is nothing to say much about it. What you mean by dispositions is primarily uh, what happens when you're doing mathematics and when children, these dispositions get established through textbooks. One, of course, because the textbook is the first resource that comes to the teachers and to the students. And the dialogues, which Jyoti also said, how the teachers transact that material from the textbook into the classrooms. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and how we feel about the subject and the communication that takes place in the classroom. A small definition in a mathematics class, the use of language is not about learning new words or symbols. Rather, it is related to the preciseness and care in which the phrases are chosen. As Jyoti said, it's a very professional platform. Once you enter into your classroom, it's a very professional platform that you're dealing with. You have to be very selective in the words that you're using. You have to be, and in fact, in mathematics, it has to be, it comes very naturally and very precisely. It should happen, and in some of the classroom we observe it doesn't happen, which sets the tone of doing the subject. Next. For example, a mathematics teacher who's a teacher whose vocabulary is limited to the words of solve, do this, ye karna hai, aise karna hai. It's a very limited scope. It gives you a very limited scope. It gives you a very smaller myopic view of doing mathematics. It says that it has to be only followed and there's no scope of explorations. So that's what I'm trying to say, that if you limit your vocabulary to only such words, then obviously the mindset of doing mathematics also get restricted to only uh, following the commands that have been given to the classroom. Next one. So I'll be capturing these three things in the next 2-3 minutes. The use of conditional conjectures, how they are used into the classroom, and which set a tone of logical reasoning, the uniqueness of mathematical statements and the layers of hierarchies that already exist, and how the imperatives assign a role to the participants who are participating in the mathematical act. Often an important aspect of thinking mathematically is to have the ability to establish logical relationships in an analytical manner. And this reasoning has very high status in mathematics. So uh, it is worthy that once we are constructing mathematics, doing mathematics into the classroom, due attention is given to these, and by the way, due and proper attention is given to these use of conjectures. I'll give you some non-examples also through my experiences that I've gained. In fact, mathematics there are very specific conjectures that demonstrate this logical reasoning. This is a big slide. I didn't want to miss any one of them, so I wrote everything that I had in my mind. The deductive reasoning of mathematics is conveyed by the use of conjectures such as if and only if, or we say by theorem one, you deduce from whatever is done in the last theorem by corollaries or hence and therefore and QS or hence prove. ये words QSD, these are the words that we use as conjectures. These conditional conjectures are often used to form logical implications and linkages between mathematical elements and in a very structural manner. By examining the type of conjectures that are used into the classroom, one can get the idea of. I only 2 minutes. Okay. So, if you've read it, I'll skip. The inherent nature of, I think that I don't have time to read the 5 minutes. The inherent symbolic rigidity, the layers in which mathematics is a hierarchically rigid equation. So I just gave an example of here as a BODMAS, which we emphasize कि इसी pattern में होगा, इसी rule में होगा. पहले आप इसको solve करेंगे, फिर इसको solve करेंगे. So there is a rigidity and a hierarchy of opening the brackets and hence you solve it. If you read it, I skip. And finally, the positioning of the participants, using of the terms I, we, let's consider, let's suppose, let's do it, let's not do it, let's solve it, do it. ऐसे करना है, ये करिए, किताब खोलिए, पढ़िए. Those are the terms how we selectively use it. Much of it has, I've already written in a paper and it will be circulated in the group. So I can take the privilege of skipping as my chair asked me to. I can skip this as well. And finally, what I wanted to talk about is on a large size classroom, which this work we did very recently. There were many things that we learned from this uh, project that we did. I'm just going to pay attention only on three aspects. One was the dominant reliance on Blackboard. Of course, a Blackboard is very, very imperative, a very useful tool in doing mathematics, but it has to be done very carefully. You cannot take this part easily, especially when you want students to retain something in their, with them. If you are being lazy, if you're being not giving a privileged space to this space, even the writing styles. मतलब मुझे याद है जब हम स्कूल में थे, then our teacher was very careful on writing is equal to के नीचे is equal to आएगा, and we used to get scolded by them or beaten by them कि तुमने कॉपी में भी is equal to के नीचे is equal to नहीं लिखा है. If and only दिव का ये सिंबल है, implies का ये सिंबल है, बिल्कुल ऐसे लिखना है. रफ वर्क के लिए पूरा लाइन बना के रफ वर्क उधर दिखाते थे. I don't know, maybe this was my learning, but off late that I'm seeing, it's become a very leisurely fare that you write whenever you want to on a blackboard, and sometimes you don't even write it. And that gets reflected into the textbooks also, into the notebooks of the students also. So I don't know whether they're getting into the dispositions or the thinking styles of doing mathematically or not. That the future is yet to tell us where we are going. Or there are PowerPoint presentations where everything is already written and it's just being reproduced, but not even reproduced, just being showcased there. So this is something that touched me, that how can we take this blackboard space so leisurely. This is the space right now also. If you're looking at this is going to leave an impression on your mind. Whatever is written here will be reproduced into the textbook, into the notebooks of the students. Perhaps we need to take this space very, very seriously. There's more that I've written on this, but this is the glimpse of what I wanted to say. Then a teacher in a large classroom has only a myopic statement, myopic view. For example, usually there are four rows. The myopic vision is only as a trapezium. मतलब वो ऐसे जाके ऐसे खत्म हो जाता है और तीन रो या चार रो तक आगे आप जा नहीं पाते. इसका मतलब ये कॉर्नर भी आपका निगलेक्टेड रहता है, वो कॉर्नर भी आपका निगलेक्टेड रहता है और पीछे के बच्चे भी आपके निगलेक्टेड रहते हैं क्योंकि आप पहुंच ही नहीं पाते, आपकी नजर भी नहीं वहां तक जा पाती है. You can only concentrate only in this trapezium kind of a myopic view. But yet the best part was, yet in these large size classroom there was some kind of a learning happening. Why and how was it happening is, I think I would give that credit to the last point on this slide, which is the cascading peer pedagogy. What I mean by this is the students telling the their friends what has been done in the class because एक teacher की आवाज भी वहां नहीं पहुंच रही है. Yet whatever the mathematical things that she was doing, this person was telling to the person sitting behind him, and then it was cascading. The cascading peer pedagogy is a very powerful thing that is happening in these classrooms. I mean, we've observed a couple of these classrooms with the last, and most often we kind of summarize that often the students were assisting their friends. अरे टीचर ने क्या बोला इससे ये बोला ये दिखाया तो वो अपनी नोटबुक पीछे शेयर कर रहे हैं और आगे ऐसे ऐसे करके that kind of a cascading peer pedagogy that was taking place. That's all I think I have time for, and thank you so much for stopping me.
Thank you, ma'am. Your thoughts were so good that we didn't realize how the time passed. Please give a huge round of applause.
It's too bad because that last slide was really of my interest since I'm teaching a course to 200 students. I should get you to visit and critique, what is the use of the blackboard in this classroom. Okay, so now a pleasure to invite our last presenter, Dr. Ruchi Kumar, faculty member at the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. She has a PhD in Maths Education from TFR and a Master's degree in Education from Delhi University. She delivers courses on pedagogy of mathematics, science pedagogy, and teacher education within the integrated B.Ed, M.Ed, MA education, and MA programs at TIS. She has conducted sessions for teacher educators and teachers in various workshops as a resource person, uh, including at Zonal Institute of Educational Training for Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Tata Class Edge, Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, Villa College, Maldives. Okay. Samsir College of Education, Bhutan, and Michigan, USA. Ruchi. And you can add Gurgaon to that list now.
Thank you, sir. All of you, please give a huge round of applause.
And also to MTA and chairs of this conference for inviting me to present my work here. So I'm going to talk about the teacher professional development experiences that I have had in my career of being a math teacher educator, right, from my PhD days. So next slide. So I'm going to talk about three case studies. And these three cases are the first case is from my PhD where we engaged in teacher researcher collaboration to design a unit plan, and these plans were implemented in the classroom. The second case is of designing short-term courses for teachers to support mathematical reasoning using blended modules. By blended, I mean both face-to-face workshop as well as the digital media, and these were continuous development courses. Then third case is of working in an international project where we worked with some teacher educators in other countries to design PPD as for the teachers in these countries and how these were implemented by them collaboratively with the teachers. Next case. So in the first case, we worked collaboratively with a group of just 4 middle school teachers, and but what we developed was, and this was done in main work was done by Professor Subramanian and Shweta Nayak, and I was the researcher at that time. So we had 6 one-day workshops with this group of teachers, and we collaboratively developed unit plans with the teachers in which they integrated the ideas, the conceptual ideas related to integers in their unit plan itself. And then I followed them up in the classroom. They implemented these lessons, and we had discussion outside of classroom of how students are responding, how students are thinking, and how one needs to change our pedagogy itself to address their understanding. So a lot of resources got incorporated in the unit plan itself when we were was very well represented in this, representation of the ball, where the floors above can be represented by positive numbers and the floor below can be represented by negative. And also the movement with this lift can be represented using integers. The major issue that students face in understanding integers is that the sign can be attached to a number on its own and there is no number before it. So it's not addition or subtraction, but it is the number itself which has this sign. And this meaning needs to be developed first before we go on to the addition and subtraction. And this is some example of the teacher that developed this situation for teaching in the classroom itself. Next. In the second case, this is related to Connected Learning Initiative. It's a program that we implemented in 4 different states of India. And for this, we had developed the digital modules for students, in which we had incorporated hands-on activities, classroom-based discussion activities, as well as the digital activities for students to understand. The examples are geometric reasoning and proportional reasoning. Now we knew that it would be difficult for teachers to implement these modules in the classroom on its own. If you just give teachers a textbook or just a module to teach, it's not that it would be transacted in the same manner. A professional development experience is definitely needed to convey the main ideas that are inherent in the module. So for that, we created a short-term course. It was around 2 to 3 months, and the main thing that we included in that course was that, of course, the teachers would be doing some readings, watching videos, having discussion with their peers, but they would have to implement at least 1 or 2 ideas, 1 or 2 lessons from the module itself, implement it in their classroom, and share the experience in form of a reflective assignment. And they also have to discuss it with their peers. So these ideas of practice-based professional development, learning through interacting with your peers, learning through interacting with the teacher educators was built into the design itself. It also provided teachers the opportunity to experience how students engage with the digital media in their own schools in the computer lab, and learn how they can even include those ideas in classroom based discussion. So this is the second engagement with professional development. Um, and let's go to the third case. Resume it, sir. So the third case is engagement with the international teacher educators, and we work with the teacher educators from Nepal, Maldives, Nigeria, Tanzania, Bhutan, even Afghanistan. Uh, and in this case, the what we did was we worked with teacher educators in these countries, and we developed their capacity to design teacher professional development that is meaningful, that is continuous, and that includes in some way action research with teachers in collaboration with the teachers itself. So we designed modules related to mathematics with these teacher educators. They looked at, in the process, they looked at different kinds of resources that are there for mathematics. They thought about the pedagogical content knowledge, which Jyoti was talking about, which means the different kinds of representations that can be used for teaching a particular concept, the visual representation, the situations, and they even contextualized it to their own country context. For example, when we were designing proportional reasoning module for Bhutan, so one of the Bhutanese teacher educator took up the recipe of a local dish and used that to engage teachers in understanding, how proportional reasoning can be discussed with the students. And then they change is inherently a slow process, but it is also the core of sustainability and quality. And these different education contexts, because this is a South-South collaboration, by what it is not a collaboration between countries that are there in the global North and the South, where global North generally dictates what is happening there. But we are all countries which have similar situations of under-resourced context, and how we can help each other in supporting the mathematics teaching and learning in these under-resourced contexts itself. What kind of ideas can be taken up? We realize that these education contexts, like which involves the infrastructure, the different stakeholders, the different capacities that they have in their own culture, and it's very complex, and it needs to be understood deeply by engaging at the field itself. And we also realize that these global South-South collaborations, they enable deeper understanding of the context through co-learning and camaraderie. And the similarity of context enable us to do adaptation and adoption in these low resource contexts. Next slide. Now, what is the essence from these, like why I'm talking about these three experiences? What I'm talking, because from these three experiences, we were able to, I can see certain commonalities in the principles that had worked across these three situations. And one of the most important principles, I would say, is the practice-based professional development opportunities that were provided. And the practice-based professional development is, you have a certain idea which you may even get from this conference. But you integrate that into your planning, you try it in your classroom, you reflect on it, how it works, and then you try it again one or two more times. And finally, you will get your own adaptation of that idea for your students in your class. So this practice-based professional development definitely helps the teachers to support the integration of ideas in the classroom practice. The second principle is the collaboration aspect. So if the teachers get opportunities to collaborate with the peers, with the other teachers, with teacher educators, this provides them an opportunity to engage in social learning, to learn from each other, and also get some sort of mentoring opportunity. So, and there is a lot of learning that can happen in these situation itself. The third principle is the principle of continuous engagement over a period of time. It's not that you have one workshop and teachers learn just at that. We know that when students, you take one lesson once and expect them to learn only through that one lesson, that doesn't happen. We have to revisit it again and again. The student also has to try it out on their own and make meaningful. So the same experiences need to be provided to teachers, the same opportunity needs to be provided to teachers. A continuous engagement is needed over a period of time, and the teachers, it will help the teachers in developing a deeper understanding, and it will also give them a flexibility of their own time of when they want to engage in professional development. And therefore, these courses that can be developed that include these resources for teachers, which they can engage in their own time, can be very, very useful. The last, this is the last one. So the last principle is the principle of, I would say, action research, which I'm thankful Jyoti has explained already. And this is something that really needs to be encouraged in our country context, especially. I realized that in Nepal, action research is already a compulsory process that all in-service teachers have to go to, and they have to submit that for the promotion itself. So it is very much there in the system. However, of course, it doesn't take place in a very systematic manner, and they also are realizing the need for mentors to support teachers and engage in action research. But this is something that we need to really encourage our teachers in India to engage with, and not only teachers. I would say that teachers and teacher educators together need to collaborate to engage in such active research because there is a lot of learning that happens even for teacher educators when they see these different classroom contexts and understand what kind of challenges teachers are facing and how students are responding because they also need to develop that kind of knowledge. So that's all from my side. This is a QR code for the community that we have on Telegram for math education research. If any of you are interested, you can join this community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Please give a big round of applause for ma'am. And I also thank to each and every member of this panel discussion, as you all made these complex ideas as easy as 2 plus 2.
Okay, so I request the panelists to come to the stage so that then we can have the discussion part of this. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground. We have looked at, how teachers relate to the subject itself and how we can. Uh, no, sorry. Okay, anyway, so yeah, we have looked at how teachers can connect with the subject itself, to become more questioning about it. We have looked at the relationships with students, our awareness of how our even language affects the students and their understanding and their attitude to the subject. And we have looked at, teachers working with teachers as well. Okay, so now, you know, you can ask questions. How should we do this? You Just open it, yes, but you can ask a question and say who you are addressing it to. And if someone else wants to say something also, of course they can. Uh, we need to pass the mic, I guess. Okay, so just, get his attention so that you can ask. It's fine.
See, question induction starts over.
So I think that is a wonderful range of ideas and views about professional development that came from all four panelists. But I just wanted to, all of you have such a varied experience with working with maths teachers. What do you think are the fundamental concept of professional development for a math teacher herself? Like, what does she need? He feel that these are the important things that I should acquire for my own professional growth. Do you have any? And I have some ideas myself, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on it.
This is for everybody.
Yeah, addressing it to everybody. The also them have various.
But one person maybe because okay.
So a short answer is that I think what most teachers want is resource that they can directly implement in the classroom. However, it is important to understand the mathematics that is embedded in the resource and how to unpack that mathematics with the students. That is something that really needs to be understood before you use the resource because resource is not a magic wand that if you just take that into the classroom, the learning will happen. There is a certain process attached with it, and that is also very, very important. Anybody else?
teaching those concepts to the learners is changing. So my audience are changing every day, every year. So that change within myself is important. So unless I'm able to keep updating myself with the latest development in the field, so engagement with professional bodies or collaboration with peers, that discussion is important.
So I just what Jyotish and told, I just back up that. So you all know that paramedics like helps like mother. So whatever we have, wherever we visit now is because of paramedics. Whatever we have, whatever partner. So first of all, what we are doing, we back to the paramedics. That will help us actually to develop also. How can you do back to the mathematics? Is one is by research, other one is by teaching. Teaching means you motivate other students to they do research. So further, so there are various things. One is that there are TEW, teacher education workshops, ISTs, instruction school for teachers, and ma'am already mentioned there are so many other CET, NCTF, so many other school level also there are many activities are happening. You have to attend them. So one at least once in a year, at least once you come out and go and attend the meetings. That is number one. Number two is that whenever in a class, generally I will ask students. Sometimes when they came and they will look at below there is a cell phone, they are watching something. Otherwise, sometimes they'll not listen. Actually, these days students are not listening to me, right? So what is that? What is that I want to convey is that sometimes I'm angry on how when you go to a bus stand, you will wait for a bus. Bus does not come on time. You will be very angry, and then you will ask Lord, it's just RTC and India throughout all politicians, everybody. But when you sit in the classroom, you are wasting so much of time that you will not ask yourself time is wasted. Okay, so what my point, what I convey to them is that you can wait for a bus also. You can think of when morning first ma'am enter into the class, what she talked to me. Start realizing, review, recalling things, then automatically you realize that where you are, how far you understand. So those things will happen. So this is for students. Now I'm getting about faculty. So you also, whenever there is a time, I'm saying that please recall, think about what to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a class. What I can do tomorrow when I go to the class, I have to teach this topic. How can I teach? Go for a small walk. So then there is a lot of difference. So how can I ask questions? So you know about your students also, which one to pick up. And also nowadays you have email IDs and WhatsApp, everything. So you can motivate one or two students also. Teaching now only confined to classroom is not going to sufficient. You have to talk to the students beyond the classroom. So, yeah. And as I already mentioned, we need to read some books also. We need to refer books frequently. These are part and parcel of the questions.
Dr. Janaki also has some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
I want to make a comment what Love said. Okay, I mean, I think this teacher professional development as a term I see largely in the last 30 years or so. I mean, teacher was a person that you interested children to, and somewhere teacher has become a professional. And I mean, when I was going to finish school or going to college, professional education like medical or engineering or legal or I mean, Jyoti did refer to this fact that there's a guild and there's this thing. But those are legal entities, right? Medical Council of India has a legal presence. The lawyers profession bar council has a legal presence. And teachers don't have any of that, right? I mean, in some sense, nobody would go and dare to tell a lawyer or a doctor how to do their profession. But teachers are being told all the time what you should do and what, right? So we don't really let teachers govern themselves. I mean, Class Teachers Association, we are doing a lot, but we are not. There's nothing we can do really, right? So teachers guilds and NCTM has a presence, and NCTM influences things in the US, but only so much. It's governments that dictate, and after medical education, in some sense, nobody dares to say anything to a doctor. Right? Whereas teacher education is not, I mean, to say so much about continuous professional development, in-service and so on. Why is then teacher education not taken as this, the kind of priority it should get? Maybe teacher education is so good, like medical education or legal education, not the complementary of the development at all. Like, we don't, I mean, whatever Satya said, I should expect every doctor, I'm hoping the doctors do, because I go to them and I'm in trouble. But I don't know how doctors do. How many doctors do we know of who actually are keeping up with everything and so on? So somewhere I think we are buying into, I'm worried that as teachers, we are letting society dictate certain things to us without without enabling it for us and making it possible. Right? It's true that we have a mass education system, we have to do something, but I see that this terminology has changed. Right? I see that we are, you know, um, I'm not against these, but I'm trying to say that we should say that as professionals, we want professional bodies, teachers to govern themselves, teachers to, come up with ways by which we can certify our own thing, get pride in our own certification, not depend on, some other if they're possible. I think these may be also ways by which collegiate efforts also become professionalization, professional identities in some sense, giving us pride in what we do, etc. So I really feel that maybe we should. Kalia, but
Everything the response.
I will just comment. I completely agree. And we used to talk about these situations. Not in a very formal way, but definitely as for example, as I told you, teachers are the see, you are the architect of your class, and we as third agency we ask, okay, so there is this framework, please follow this. There is these professional 50-hour professional development a teacher, school teacher, etc., etc. But I think it is a continuous journey, so at least we have started realizing that it is a profession and teacher needs to grow as professional. Maybe after few decades we'll be here like medical professionals and who take charge of our own journey and our own development and nobody is guiding us. So I think it's these are the beginning steps. Over the years, maybe we'll grow to that level, we'll mature to that level.
Uh, I'm going to say that, maybe it would be difficult for teaching as a profession to become truly professional because there is a certain kind of caring relationship that teachers have with students, and uh, many teachers may feel converting that into a form of a professional would be creating some sort of a distance, and may not be open to that. So therefore, I mean, sometimes teaching is considered as vocation also. So teaching is seen in many different ways. But what Jan had said about teachers realizing their own value, realizing that their everyday experience can be a source for them to continuously learn, realizing that they what they do in the classroom is uh, shaping the future in a big way. I think perhaps then it will motivate them to be continuously updated and be continuously engaging in this enterprise as an everyday activity and not just something that they do on specific days or for just 50 days
actually, about to say that what you talked about as an action research and the teacher being a researcher. When we are in a classroom, we are a researcher. Because as Dr. Jyotisha also said that even after 15 and for me 35, just reminded someone that I've been teaching for 35 years. Every day you go back to the class, you must have taught the same concept that many times, but you add something to it, you change something, you teach it in a different way. So we are action researchers every day. What I think what we are lacking is we are not journaling it. We are not documenting it. So a forum like this is needed, and it is an opportunity where you present your observations in a document form, which some of the paper presenters have and poster presenters. They came out of their comfort zone and they had shared. So I think that is also kind of a PD, just putting it down in writing. Another thing from teacher's perspective, I wanted to present because I come from this community, I'm part of it. Our professional development is more or less controlled by the school management. So we all get one for all, not different for all. Differentiated for subject even sometimes. Yeah, we all sit through the same PDs. So I think it's time to give voice in your respective communities and or in your own small group of 5, 10 teachers of maths. You start a movement and bring this little bit of an research. Or let's change how we are teaching this. And everybody does that. That can be the start also of a professional development which is more specific for maths teachers, not like all the other SEL, all the other workshops that we attend. But you are not doing this only for you. And that's also, part of the 50 hours of CBSE mandatory workshop. So get it 50, sorry, 50. So you can count it under those and have your own workshops there. Right?
How many credit points is needed?
So yes, uh, there are a few questions and a few inputs I would like to give for teacher development program. Questions are the following, like Sangeeta said that 40 hours of professional development is mandatory. Who regulates that 40 hours? Nobody knows. Is there a timetable available in the beginning of the academic calendar year that these are the 40 hours? On these days, no. As and when convenient, you find a source person, you find a holiday, you find something, and say, "Hey, जाओ professional development होना, जाओ लगे 3 दिन का attend करते हो." That is not professional development. That is professional development for filing only. Teachers get a certificate, they attend it, and bodies like I don't want to name down which RT, right? That's that we have done that much of training. So this is a very disorganized professional development training all over India by various state bodies, central bodies, even including NCRT. Because professionally, I would like to see that at the beginning of the beginning of an academic year, the timetable is on the website of that particular body saying, for mathematics, these will be the professional development hours. School can keep the teachers free of those days. Resource persons are available, and it is a continuous thing. It is not happening at all. Okay? So that is from the administrative point of view. I would like to ask each one of you, all of you, when I go to a class, that class, take notion of similarity, I want to teach, right? One way is similarity is when two triangles, objects are not talked about, immediately you come to triangles first. Two triangles are similar if something happens. What about other things are not similar? If you see tiles being put on the road, right? All tiles are similar to each other. Actually, they are congruent, not a bit similar, right? So there is no way of saying to teachers that when you want to introduce a concept, right? You first motivate the child what concept you are leading to before even defining that concept. And that will require some time. Of course, I agree. You may not be able to spare out of 20 minutes, 20 minutes or so, but when it's 5 minutes, you take a person, you take a video, show something that needs, so for example, for similarity, a very good advertisement is of our theater colleague. He has a throat problem, right? And he grows very small, and then he gets a bit swelling, and then he goes back. You can show that 2 minutes, 1 minute of video, what is happening to Virat Kohli. When it gets small, do you think it's Virat Kohli looks like? Yes. When it grows big? Yes. So what is the similarity between the two without losing what is similarity? Right? So the concept comes out of children. It becomes their concept, not your concept for your teaching. Right? So my we had done why I'm saying all this because we had done about 2 years of professional development training for Maharashtra school teachers. It is called quality improvement in math education, where we did not do anything beyond curriculum. 18 topics of curriculum from 9th and 10th were picked up, and in a particular framework, they were called to a particular place. There were about 15 workshops which were held, 3 days each. So 45 days of workshops were held, and they were trained on that. And see, normally our training is school teachers come, they attend, they get a certificate and finish. Is there a evaluation assessment of what is the effect of that training? Other than the feedback form that you circulate? I don't know. For our program, which was under Convert Victoria, we after the training we conducted an exam for the teachers. 350 teachers. Exam was conducted whether you have assimilated what we have taught you or not. And then only they will certify those who passed. Not all passed by the way. And not only part of their training on YouTube, there is a channel called Quality Improvement in Math Education. It's free. You can see the videos developed by teachers of Maharashtra. They are available there in that format. Okay? So that will tell you that what format we have created. But these kind of formats, I would expect that some template for a teacher to be developed by LCRD, SCRD, whatever the bodies are. See, what's the point of doing Ruchi doing something isolated, Harry doing something isolated, and Mrs. Sharma doing something somewhere? What is the effect of those things? Very isolated. And they will be forgotten also whatever you are doing. Even the advice you are giving will be forgotten in 2 days. It will not be implemented, right? So I don't see point of spending money, time, and energy when nothing is gained out of it. Something we should do which is scalable and which should be supported by government agencies. Then only it's possible to do professional development in a professional way. See, our professional development is very half-assed. It's not done professionally at all. That's my submission. So do visit, and if you want a write-up, I will send you a write-up. You can change. Thank you.
Okay, maybe one more question if there's anyone. All right, let's close this session then. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to all the panelists. You want some last words?
It would be very interesting to know from teachers, especially in the audience, if you have experienced any professional development that you feel has had a very meaningful impact on you. And so I know the time is up, but maybe in WhatsApp group you can share whatever you have experienced. And so that, I mean, that would also be something interesting for all of you to know, not just to us, but for each other. What was really that you gained from that experience? That's all.
Thank you, everyone. Esteemed guests, we will now take a short break for tea and refreshments, which are provided near reception. We encourage you to use this opportunity to